All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Kodash, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Stone, Shalom to the elect pushing this word in truth and sincerity, with the hope of receiving mercy for Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shai is the name of His only begotten Son. The so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the Israelites according to the prophecies that are written in the scriptures. I want to make it known that the RFID microchip is the MOTB. The serpent juice is the precursor to the MOTB. Yahweh Shai, whom the world ignorantly called Jesus, is about to make his return upon the earth to deliver his elect and to pour out judgment as it is written. So I want to go straight into this lesson, and this was inspired by a video that I was just watching and a lesson we had at class, and the elder brother Kabash asked a question about the hegelian dialectic, and that word have been used a lot, by brothers, but most time we use the word, we go into the application of the word, problem, reaction, solution, pressure from above, pressure from below, but at class the brother went into the word to give you a better understanding of it. And while I was watching the clip, this is exactly what is playing out, but this is all part of ideological subversion, because Isaga create a lot of scenario, make people feel like them are make certain decisions of their own will, but they were led to these decisions by certain events, by certain programming, conditioning, which were regardless what you want to call it, but they were coerced, to these decisions, believing that these decisions are going to be beneficial to them. And one of the decisions is going to be taking the RFID microchip, which is going to be their detriment. So I want to go into the word itself first, and so it's the hegelian dialectic is a concept explaining the movement of thought and history through internal contradiction and their resolution, often summarized as a thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. This process involves an initial idea or state, thesis, and encountering its opposite, antithesis, which generates a new understanding that incorporates elements of both. This synthesis then becomes a new thesis, creating a continuous progressive cycle of development in logic, nature, and spirit. So it's how it works. Thesis, initial idea, the starting point, an idea, concept, or state of being. Antithesis, opposition, a contradictory force or idea that arises in opposition to the thesis, leading to conflict and instability. Problem, reaction, solution. So the problem is the thesis, the reaction is the antithesis, and the solution is going to be the synthesis. So it's a synthesis, resolution, the resolution of the conflict between the thesis and antithesis, which result in a new, more complex idea that integrates elements of the previous two. So listen to this clip and you see why put the thought in my mind to drag me back to what took place at class.
There is something bigger going on behind the scenes, and we have a plan of chaos coming out into the open. I want you to read and listen to what some of the other citizens in our country have to say about it.
There's a plan here. It's unfolding around the world. The first thing is to create chaos and overwhelming the systems. There's people being brought in, overwhelming all kinds of systems. There's a catch and release policy. Cops are being punished for doing their job, dealing with actual crimes. People who are committing these crimes are getting off and being released. Meanwhile, you're told not to deal with someone breaking into your home. Why is everyone going along with this? You have to understand, this is all about bringing in a digital ID and a one world government. They want to keep track of everything. That's why they're sowing chaos. So we demand order. And then they're going to say, oh, this digital ID.
See, you know what I'm saying? That's why they're sowing chaos. So they can demand order. So the chaos is what? Action, reaction, and a demand order. The solution is going to be what? The trip. Because not about digital ID. What that digital ID is going to entail. It won't be a card or your phone, you know. That's just the beginning stages of what's really the underlying agenda of Esau Edom, which is going to be that RFID market chip, which is going to be a new identity in this new world order. So that was the reason why the lesson from Sunday came to mind, you know, because while watching the video, I was like, watch Esau, you know, and look how great Yahweh Shai is. Because even when the brother going at it, the brother was so clear in his explanation, you know, using the tools that are given unto us, which is via the internet, chat GPT, and certain questions. And the class was very, very, very edifying, you know. But while I was just watching this clip, it's just like, watch it.
Is what's going to give you order.
Now, he might be onto something here, because we have seen Stephen Miller say that chaos is an agent of change, and a change that they want. Let's see if we can find a video of him discussing this.
Part of the leadership of Secretary Rubio is putting in place a system to ensure that...
Hard to find because it wasn't a recent post, but that's what he has warned about. Let's see what Christy Noam has to say.
The American people today, and remind them and recall the fact that we are focused on the worst of the worst, bringing these individuals to justice. We're not going to let individuals terrorize our streets anymore, and we're not going to let them make victims out of families that live in this country. I'll give you some examples of individuals that were brought to justice here in Sarasota and in this area. The first one I'll talk about is a convicted murderer whose name is Eric Carlos Artiles Ramos, an illegal alien who was from Cuba. He had a prior removal order in 2008, and now because of the work of this office, he is...
So, this was even one I think them over there going to at class, you know, because them set up this whole open border thing when Biden was in office, you know, which is another strategy, thesis. And when Trump come in, what Trump said, we need to get the whole of them out. That are the reaction, you know, that are the antithesis. And what will be some of the synthesis, you know? New laws to combat this mass immigrant crisis. You know, we need better means of identifying illegal aliens. And the list goes on, And the thing is, Esau, the elites, them are going to make it to in which people are going to believe that this is their idea. Them are the one, this is the best solution, not knowing that they were led and no people are going to give over them rights. The perfect example was what took place in 9/11 when we shall got the Patriot Act, where the Patriot Act remove a lot of people's rights. And as them slogan go, no crisis, let no crisis go to waste. If me I quote it right, brothers can put my comment board.
The streets.
That's Sarasota, Florida, right south of the Tampa Bay area. U.S. banks or U.K. banks are monitoring your carbon footprint, and this is going to start in the U.K. and then come for you, America. They're updating their banking apps so that they can show what you purchase and how much of a carbon percentage that is per week or per month. This is so they can start taxing you. They can start charging you extra if you go over your 100% allotment. They don't take into account that maybe one guy has to drive for his job and another one just works from home. They'll say how much gas or fuel you can use, how much you can eat, what you can do, what you can buy, and if you want extra, you're going to pay for it. A new law is coming out that gives the government ability to have access to basically everything digital.
I'm going to tell you something. The man coming what? Policies, new laws, and all these things that are being implemented is your prison being built around you.
And technical. Wireless area networks, mobile networks, satellite payloads, satellite operations, cable access points, wireless or wireline access points, VPNs, basically everything. A person who willfully commits or attempts to commit or conspires to commit or aids or abets in the unlawful act shall be, upon conviction, fined to not more than $1 million, or if a natural person, may be in prison to not more than 20 years.
So you basically